Hi, this is Kathy Hanson, and this week I'm talking to you about female rivalry. Is there such a thing? Let me ask you this, and I want you to answer this very honestly, and no one needs to know your answer. Have you ever walked into a room at work or at a party or at some kind of function, and across the room you see a beautiful woman who seems to have it all? What's your first thought? Is your first thought, I want to run over there and be her best friend? I wonder who that is? Or does a list of thoughts go through your mind about perhaps she has some flaws, or I hope she has some flaws? We're not alone in that. I wanted to let you know that there is female rivalry, but there doesn't have to be. And a lot of female rivalry has to do with a lack of the insight that it's not a zero-sum game. What that means is there's not a pie and everybody takes a piece and therefore there's nothing going to be left. We all wish there was no female rivalry in the world, but there is. There's also male-female rivalry when it comes to profession, right? So I am going to tell you that while I've experienced and I know it exists, and I'm 53, I also know that women of this generation, I can't believe I'm not part of this generation, but I will say women in their 30s have a whole different kind of rivalry because everything is posted on social media. So now they have, what I didn't have was a visual competition for motherhood and their bodies and their face and their hair. That is just so unhealthy. When I was going through the ranks, we had Gloria Steinem saying we could do everything. Sometimes we had moms and dads who didn't believe in the power that we had and the intellect that we could do it all. But I'm saying to you right now, if you think about female rivalry, I want you to think about that it's not a zero-sum game, meaning there's enough goodwill and good intentions, and the world is a big place where everybody can have a diverse perspective, a different insight. They can look great, they can act great, they can have great ideas, and there doesn't need to be any rivalry about any subject of any sort that we go through every single day. There's enough tough situations in the world that we all have ourselves that I wish we would think of it as a sisterhood. If you want an example, look at Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. There was just an article out in the New York Times, and this is January of 2016, that talked about they are happy for one another. They have a friendship where they're happy when something good happens to another person, the other person. And I want you to think about when you have a rivalry, or when you have someone who you don't get along with, or when you feel like somebody else is competing with you, just to take a minute to breathe in and to say, is that on her or is that on me? Never read anything into emails. That's number one. And via communication, when there's work emails and you can't read the tone or the body language, don't let that play into a rivalry. That's my biggest piece of advice I can have, is always have an assumption of goodness when it comes to other women and other men, and always assume you're going to be surrounding yourself with like-minded women who want you to succeed. And if there's someone who, just for whatever reason, you're absolutely sure that they're competing with you, or there's a rivalry there that you have tried to do everything you can to make it neutral, you don't take anything personally, I would say then you're going to have to break up with that person, because it's not good to have those people in your lives. It's very toxic to have people who constantly belittle or berate you. And I'm hoping nobody does that to you. And I'm hoping you perhaps have been reading between the lines. But if in fact that happens with family, even neighbors, PTA, in the corporate world, all you have to do is to say, I only want to surround myself with people who are really, really empowering me and supportive of me. And if I have to have them in my life, I'm going to keep it to a bare minimum and very neutral, and always have an assumption of goodness. Never, ever do anything that's not professional and collaborative when you have somebody who you think has female rivalry or is competitive with you. The world is too tough as it is, and we have enough things to deal with that are more important than female rivalry. And I wish everybody could follow Ellen DeGeneres's saying, which is her sign off every week, is just be kind to one another. I want that to be the message about female rivalry, is that's not something that you want in your life. And if we could just have an assumption of goodness and we can be kind to one another, the world will be a much better place, and you will be shocked at how your own community becomes such a great place for you to thrive. And that's so important. So going back to that question, ask yourself honestly, what do you say when you see a fantastic looking person, woman, who has it all together and seemingly has it all together? Say to yourself, I want to be her best friend. What can I do so that, we can meet and I can have some of that, what she's having? That makes it a much better world for all of us when great, dynamic, beautiful women from the inside and out all help and support one another. Thank you so much. That's your back pocket strategy for the week.